Hey, what's going on, everybody? Eddie Evans here with Meet Me on the 50, and today we are joined by our newest member to the family, Matt Reeves. Combined, we are your hosts for Tech Talk, a show dedicated to building better media teams by way of tech tutorials, gear purchase recommendations, gear to avoid, and we'll also share some of our stories, some of our triumphs, as cinematographers, as well as some of our pitfalls and setbacks, in hopes that you can avoid some of them by listening to us, man. So, hey, Matt, welcome to the show. Let's kick this tech talk off, man. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing all right, man. How you doing?
Man, we here, man. We've been planning this thing out, man. I think we got something big for the culture right here, especially for the media crowd, man. What you think about the show, man?
Man, I think this is going to be extremely helpful for not only the people who already do it, but especially the people who are trying to get into this thing and don't know where to start. I think we can give them a good starting point for getting them started and helping them out and helping them, be better media professionals.
Man, look, I think everybody knows who Matt is, man. But give him a quick rundown. And then, just tell him who you are, man. Give him a little bit of your band facts, where you went to school. Just let's let the people know who we dealing with here, man. Who was Matt?
First and foremost, my name is Matt Reeves. I went to Virginia State University, marched in the Trojan Explosion, played euphonium, baritone, was student arranger there as well. Moved back down to Greensboro, which is my hometown, and just started my business, and then joined A&T's media team, stayed there for a couple of years, and then I'm back on my own, doing my own thing. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's a lot of programs and a lot of things that Matt's touched. Man, he's a very humble dude, man. From when I met Matt, when I met you a few years ago, man, it might have been at,
I believe it was at Norfolk.
At Norfolk? Yeah, but I done ran into Matt a few times, man. But every time I've ran into him, I see that he puts the work in, but a lot of times you won't know it. You know what I'm saying? You won't know that it's Matt that's behind a lot of this stuff, man. So, the more I talk to him and the more I hear about him, even when I announce you as being part of this show, man, being the other half of this show, man, how much love you got just from the community, just from people that, man, Matt, we can't wait to see it. So here we got him, man. This is Matt Reeves right here. I can't wait to get this episode kicked off in this series. We're gonna be here every week doing the same format. We'll have different topics for you. It's going to help you build your media team. It's going to help you, if you already have one already established, it's things that's going to help you improve your media team, man. So I'm excited, man. So I'd love to go ahead and get started. So you mentioned about, in your introduction, the why. So some of the reasons that people want to start their media teams, you have to ask yourself, when you start a media team, what are your goals? What are some of the unique things that you will bring to the culture that's not already being brought by other teams? And I'm speaking more specifically to third-party teams in that question right there, because I know that if you are a band and you want your own presence, which all bands should at this point in 2021, you should have your own presence. But speaking to the third-party teams, I would say my question, Matt, would be why? What will you bring that's unique at this point?
Mm-hmm. One thing that I always tell people is like you said, you have to find your why. I know talking to a few people over the years, especially one of my big bros, Kevin Allen, Killer Kev, everyone knows who he is. Mm-hmm. The reason that why he started shooting was because a lot of the less popular groups, bands or whatever, weren't getting a lot of shine. So he started recording the lesser known groups and putting them out there. That was his why. My why was personally kind of the same reason. I was in the CIAA band, and unfortunately, we didn't get a lot of press. We didn't get a lot of attention. I think that's why a lot of CIAA bands are a lot smaller, or maybe not as good as maybe the bigger groups. Mm-hmm. And that's why I got started. I started shadowing, major entities like Double Time Entertainment and those people, and just trying to learn behind the scenes about okay, they're going around in the trenches doing what they're doing for the smaller groups. And that's their why, Mm-hmm. So you always have to make sure that you know why you're doing it. Don't just do it for the clout that band media can bring. Don't do it, just to be that guy. Don't do it for the followers. Actually have a solid reason as to why you want to dive into the band media space or a media period. You have to find a true purpose in what you're doing, or else you're not really going to get very far.
Yeah, and you mentioned about the word clout, man. It definitely resounds, man. If you do anything, I think in business in general, Matt, man, if you do anything outside of the intent of it being something that you're passionate about, it's very limited to how far you can go with that, man. I mean, you may gain some notoriety, you may get some money out of it, man. But if you're not passionate about whatever it is that you're this new, adventure or this new pursuit that you're after, man, it won't be lasting, man. So I would say the why should involve somewhat of the explanation that you are passionate about this, man. You have some passion about this culture, man. So, that's the first point I wanted to bring up. What you have? Let's get into point number 2.
Point number 2 is purchasing your essential gear, what camera, microphone, and any type of like tripod, stabilizers, or whatever. 9 times out of 10, you just need a DSLR camera for the most part. Now, even with that being said, sometimes you can get away with using your iPhone. iPhones have come a long way with like the video quality and everything. So you have a phone, you're already halfway there,
Yeah.
As far as like microphones and stuff go, like you can use like a little plug-in mic. Cell phones have them now where you can just plug in the bottom of your phone, have a great audio feed. My audio is going to get like peak a little bit, but you can use something like this, H5, H4n, things like that. That's going to capture the band in the best light. Because what you don't want is to move all around recording these bands and your audio is not good. That's the most important part of recording bands is
Say that
the
again,
audio.
man. Say that again, man. It's not, look, the camera matters, but trust me, man, in the world of band, audio is king, bro.
Audio is the most important thing when it comes to band media because I know everyone always says cell phone quality is the best quality to them, but honestly, that isn't always the best case scenario. It's not always the best thing for bands. Sometimes you have to have just a solid recording device or a microphone to be able to capture the band in the best light.
Yeah.
And of course, everyone needs a tripod at least, or one of those monopods that have the legs on the bottom that can able to make sure your camera is stable because no one likes shaky footage either.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean,
that's the basics that what you need if you want to start, this brand.
Absolutely. I mean, you can get more into the gimbals and things like that. But stabilization, I would say, if you're starting out, tripod. It's nothing like some steady footage, man. So, camera, microphone, stabilization. Those are your 3 pieces right there. We're going to have more detailed, explanations on what gear we recommend in future videos, man. But get those 3. Hit us up on the inbox if you have any questions about those 3, and we can talk to you on the side. But we're going to get more and more into those topics in the future videos. So I'll go ahead and get to topic number 3, man. So we talk about the importance of going with the essentials, but you got to look at your own band program and really, really think on what does my band need specifically. You got to know the strong points and weak points of your band program. If you have a band with one of these excellent dance teams, and they have a reputation for being one of these, household names, you got to find a way to highlight that section. Or, if your drum major is on some J5, real flat, it's certain things about your band. You have to know all the good and bad about your band and then buy your gear specifically to that, that demographic or that feature. You know what I'm saying? So
yes, sir.
What would you think about, what would you add to that, Matt?
Yeah, like, when I was at A&T, when we were going through the process of getting new cameras and stuff, we're a team that covers everything. So, we do the videos, we do all the photos. So we had to get gear that worked for both, which is why we went with the gear that they have now. And in accordance to like lenses and stuff, which is also an important thing, the way we shoot, we weren't really allowed to really get on the field. Like you see Southern's media team, they can be all over the field, getting all these inner angles. Jackson's media team as well. We couldn't really do a lot of that because the shows had too much going on for us to be trying to weave in and out. So we had to just stick with getting, regular zoom lenses instead of getting like a prime lens or anything, because we had to be able to be on the sideline the whole time and make sure we got all the close-up angles and whatnot. So you really have to pay attention to how your band performs, how your band moves around, how they, do everything so you can get the right gear that's going to help you cover all aspects of your band program. That's basically it.
Absolutely, man. Good point right there, man. So, when you talk about purchasing gear, it's not let me go ahead and get to point number 4 right here. It's not always about the main, camera or the microphone. There are, each one of these devices that you record on, whether it be your mic, your Zoom, or your H4, and your camera, all require storage. And in these cameras, you use memory cards. You need to remember to always put as much thought and money essentially into your storage devices, meaning your memory cards and your external hard drives. Because the last thing you want is to capture some once in a lifetime image or on the field or wherever it may be. You get home and you realize your cards failed on you, your hard drive failed on you. And the good thing about some of these cameras now, they have the ability to record to 2 different cards at the same time, which is good for that purpose right there. But yeah, man, we'll link, in future videos, some of the brands and things like that we recommend as far as memory cards and hard drives. But do not skimp on your memory cards and your external hard drive quality, man. What you think about that, Matt?
Honestly, yeah, I definitely agree. Do not skimp, because especially if you're doing band media specifically, or if you are outside media people, you do weddings or just birthday parties, events and stuff, you can't, walk out on a gig with a 16 gig memory card. Like you're not going to get very far. Like the one thing that we always had at A&T, and what I also personally have is, I have a 128 gigabyte memory card. Yeah. That's like standard. I don't get anything else nowadays because I never know how much I'm going to need to shoot, when you're shooting in 4K or like something that requires 120 frames per second, that takes up a lot of space.
Absolutely.
And you don't want to be out in the middle of a shoot and you don't have enough space and you still have a whole half of a game to shoot and you don't there's no way for you to record it. So it's always good to overthink how much space you need in order to be able to make sure that you're prepared for whatever comes your way.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's nothing like you ever started a shoot and realized you did not format your card from the previous shoot. So now you're really dealing with so formatting your card, if you're new, it pretty much means, you are erasing the footage that you previously had on that card. And that's the worst feeling, man. Knowing you're already into this shoot for today and you have all this footage from last month that you never, man, it's a rookie mistake. I think I haven't done that in a while, but yeah, remember to format your cards. Anyway, so we moved on. What was that step? What was that? Point 4? I believe. I lost track. Yep. All right, here we go. Yes, hey, y'all, this is the first episode, man. This is gonna be, rough and cut right here, man. But we gonna work this thing out right here, man. So next topic we have is dealing with your camera again, man. So so when you pick up your cell phone, and you open up the camera feature, and you point and shoot it at an object, your camera is doing a lot of things internally that you don't realize. It's finding the proper exposure. It's, when I say proper, I mean what the iPhone thinks is proper at that time. It's trying to find the correct focus point. It's trying to find, how much ISO or how much light to add to an image if it's too dark in a room. Things like that. You don't want your camera to think for you. Is a point that I'm making. When you talk about recording, you watch some of the better teams. I won't name any of the media teams because I don't want anybody to feel slighted, man. But there's a lot of teams who put out some quality imagery, man, and none of that is done based off of using the automatic settings on their camera, man. So remember to always shoot in manual, and that will allow you full control of your camera. Like I said, future videos we're gonna get heavy into that, man. But just remember, avoid anything automatic on your camera. Once you purchase your gear, avoid those automatic settings. You want to elaborate some more on that, Matt?
Honestly, you said it all. Just avoid the auto button at any means necessary. Like just don't do it, because you're gonna get back to your room, open up your laptop, upload your footage, and you're gonna see that the white balance done changed about 10 times, and avoid auto. Period. Like that's all I need to say on it.
Avoid it, man. All right, go ahead and get into the next point, Matt.
All right. So the next point is basically master the gear that you have. Master all the gear that you have, and only upgrade when you know your gear like the back of your hand. There's so many times where people see what other people have, and they'll be like, "Oh, I need that camera," but they haven't really fully mastered what they already got. If you're still having issues with the exposure, or things like that, you don't need to upgrade yet. You need to take the time and learn, like, get into like the tendencies of your camera, the dynamic range of your camera, like what your camera can do, what it can't do. And once you fully learn what that means, that's when you can upgrade and get all the new fancy stuff. But until then, like, really hone in on what your camera is and what it can do and what you can do with that camera.
Yeah, I'll link this movie in the description because it slips my mind right now. But there was a movie shot on an iPhone 7, I believe, and won all kind of awards at the Sundance Festival. And it was shot with an iPhone. It had I think they used a gimbal to stabilize the shot, but that should tell you that, you know, the eye of the shooter is much more important than what you have in your hand. I mean, obviously, this is an extension of your eye, the camera, but gear is not as crucial as people make it out to be, is my point, man. You know,
No, sir. You're
and
right.
then if you have a camera and you barely know it, and you move on because the new model comes out, you become a jack of all trades at that point, master of none. So it's, you know, you want to master your gear, like Matt said, man. I agree wholeheartedly. All right, let's go ahead and get into the next topic here. As we continue on with these tech talks, you know, we're going to get more and more into the tutorial pieces of this show. But just remember to, you know, when we start getting into the fundamentals, you know, of filmmaking, I want you to really watch it 2, 3, 4 times, and then go out and apply what you learn. You know, we're going to talk about the 180-degree rule, you know, which means that when you shoot, now, do I want to get real detailed right now? I'll keep it very fundamental, man. Yeah. We'll speak more into the fundamentals of filmmaking, and I want you to really focus on those because it's not about just hitting the record button and capturing. You know, some people get away with that, and then that's all. Let's keep it PG, man. Look, focus on the filmmaking fundamentals when we apply when we release those episodes. Okay. All right, get into the next topic for us, Matt.
All right, the next topic is you have to understand and apply framing and composition. So basically what that means is your subject in front of you is what you are framing. Like, your camera has a specific viewpoint that it can look at, and you have to make sure that what you're looking at, the subject, is like perfectly in frame. Their head's not chopped off, their limbs are not chopped off. You know what I mean? Like, you have to make sure that everything is angled exactly the way you want it. And then composition basically is just a combination of angles, exposure triangle, which is shutter speed, aperture, ISO, and everything. That's the overall composition of your camera and what you're shooting.
Yeah.
That's something that you should, like, one of the first things, in addition to the basics, that you should understand is that, you know, because you can have a great camera and everything, but your stuff's not properly framed, it's not properly composed, it's still not going to be, I'm not going to say not look good, but it's still not going to be as good as you would want it to be. Because there's certain things with framing that makes footage stand out more and makes it look a lot better.
Well, that's the thing. And, you know, that's the thing. It's like, it kind of gets into the whole point of what makes someone, you know, another person that you're attracted to, what makes them attractive, you know, and there's certain things about the makeup of the geometry of their face or their structure. So it kind of apply that to a film. There's certain things that we are naturally attracted to as far as what's appealing to our eye when we look at a movie.
Right.
You know, there's certain directors that we say, Dad, you know, this, let's say Hitchcock, you know, if he put out a movie, what made it a cult classic, you know? And sometimes it's not just the storyline, it's not the actors, it's just the artistry that went into filming that scene specifically. You know what I'm saying? Rule of thirds is one of the things that comes to mind. Like when you see Killer Kev, you mentioned him earlier. He's really good with that, man. He's really good at keeping his subject on the lines of the rule of thirds, man. And just a quick explanation of what that means. You know, when you look at a screen, you know, or a movie or whatever, typically the object or the subject will be either on one side or the other side. Their eyes will be level to one parallel point of a screen or below it. You know, I'm right here in the middle because, you know, I'm trying to use more of a symmetry kind of vibe here. But I think that when when you start shooting, it can't just be a push and shoot kind of thing. That's the point that we're driving home. It's a lot more to it than just pushing the record button, man. So understand the framing and composition is definitely crucial. All right. So this is one that I really think is crucial, man. And you need to know your location before you get there, man. If you know you're gonna be shooting somewhere, go scout it. It's important. You need to know. You don't want to be walking around surprised that something was blocking, your destination, or you're trying to get a certain shot and you realize, wow, it's a big speaker that's blocking me from getting around. You don't want any surprises on a shoot. So I really think that's key. Get there, scout the location, and plan your shots. That's the main thing. You want to have most of your shots planned out before you get there. What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with all that. And that kind of leads us into our next point, which is show up, early to a shoot, a game, or an event, so you can be able to know your location. It's so much easier to get yourself together when you're there early, have time to take your time, prepare. You don't have a lot of people around you that could be distracting you from getting exactly what you want to get that day. Showing up early is always just this a rule that you should keep to yourself and follow, because it's always going to be beneficial. You just never know what may happen. You may have to change something at the last minute. I mean, not last minute, but you could get there early and they'd be like, oh, you can't be right here. So the fact that you were early, you can now change up and plan. But if you got there 10 minutes before the game starts and then they're telling you all these different ways, now you're spending 10 minutes trying to find a new space. And everyone else is already recording. You late, you behind, and now you're sitting there trying to play catch up. When if you were there early, you could have already had everything together, even with the changes. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah, excellent, man. Let's go ahead and get into the next point. So this is one it can apply to the band world, can apply to you, shooting weddings or whatever that you're into. But it's very, very important to get business, but it's even more important to ensure that you're putting out quality, man. And the best way to do that is to ensure that you're not taking on too much work at the same time. I've done it before. I think Matt can probably say the same. Yeah. You can get greedy, but what happens is, if you're Matt, if you're like me, it's just me right here on this editing board, man. And I get swamped. And it's what happens is I start just pushing out content, getting these clients their material, and then I'm like, damn, I could have put more work into this or that. So don't put more on your plate than you can handle, man. What do you think about that, Matt?
I agree. There's been plenty of times where I did way more than I needed to, and I got back home trying to edit, and I was like, why did I do this? And then I remember there was one time, story time, slight one. I was shooting a wedding. It was my first wedding, and I wanted to go all out, and I had 3 cameras set up, and I was the only person working the wedding. So that was a major example of biting off more than I can chew, because you can only pay attention to one camera at a time. So there was times in the video where people were blocking my camera. I couldn't move it because I was at the other camera, or one camera stopped recording randomly, so that whole side didn't even get any footage. So really, you just have to make sure that whatever you're doing, just make sure it's at the level that you can do it. Don't try to be extra. Don't try to be that guy, as we say.
Yeah.
And try to do the most when you know good and well that it may not come off as good as you want it to.
Absolutely. I agree 100%, man. 100%. All right. What's the next topic, Matt?
All right. The next topic is don't bite off more than you can chew, which kind of is the same point. Stay within your skill set. Don't. A lot of people see things on YouTube that they want to do and everything, all these media teams have all these angles and stuff. And, you may have this team with you and you have all these cameras and everything. Then you get back and you're just like, well, I really don't know how to edit multiple camera angles. And now you're stuck with all this footage you have nothing, you can't do anything with. And you're sitting there trying to figure it out, and you're taking 10 hours to edit a video when it could have took you 30 minutes if you had the skill set. So basically, just level up when you learn new things. Like as when you learn something new, okay, add that in when you've perfected it. And then you learn something else. When you perfected that, add it into your workflow. Keep it going like that instead of trying to emulate what you're seeing. Just be you, be within your means and make a good product. Don't worry about what everybody else is doing. Stay within your skill set and just make a good product. That's all that matters.
Man, look, I keep it real A to B right here. Don't buy the gold pack knowing you ain't there, bro. I'll leave it at that. Let's move on to the next topic, bro. All right, here we go. Next topic. I can speak heavily on this topic right here because, it's applicable in many instances in my experience as a media entity. But when you go out shooting, man, it's very, you may be urged to just show up and shoot, and you can have all the best intent in the world and everything. It really doesn't matter if you don't have the permission, the proper credentials to be at that location. So fellas, ladies, because we need more ladies with these cameras too. We need some more lady media teams. Okay?
I agree.
All right. But look, fellas, ladies, just make sure you are reaching out to the right people. And I'm speaking more so, this could be applicable to anything. If you're filming and you're shooting a movie or a music video, you need permission majority of the time to be on location wherever you're shooting at. Mm-hmm. The location for a band will be at a stadium or wherever that venue is. But make sure you reach out to the appropriate, personnel and get that credential. All right. I learned the hard way. Sometimes, I wasn't welcomed at some locations, man, because of not having that credential. But make sure you get those credentials. What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, yeah, I agree. You always have to make sure that you're not, what we say, walking around naked out here. Like, make sure you have your credentials and your press pass or whatever you're using visible at all times. And with that, something that we could add to this point is that you have to make sure that you request those in advance. Don't wait until like the week of or the week before. Like, if you see an event, a game, a battle that you want to record at, request that pass as soon as you see that flyer, as soon as you see that date, because that's going to make it maybe easier for you to obtain a pass. If you wait the last minute, 9 times out of 10, you may not get one. And, I know some of us, I'm guilty of this. Some of us are the rogue ones who, we can just talk our way into any gate. But everyone's not like that. Everyone can't do that. So make sure that you have all your proper credentials and media passes and everything. So you can all you have to worry about is just shooting. You don't have to worry about talking to that, random security guard that's going around checking for passes or anything. You know what I mean? Like, just make sure that you're good, got your pass, and you'll have an easy shooting day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And along with that, as they say in business, and this applies to all business, it's not always what you know.
Who you know.
Who you know is just as important. So, in terms of the relationship between the band itself and the media teams, I think that there is a lot of room for improvement, in my opinion, just based off the conversations that I have on both sides, that it's a lot of miscommunication on, and it shouldn't be. I think that if more communication is had and if the rapport is there between the director, for example, of bands and the media teams that are there to shoot, a lot of that miscommunication will be, just derailed, man. So I think that I know that it's crucial to build a rapport with band leadership and really just be on the same page. I'm like, where should I be as a media team? Where should I be when I shoot? Should I not be here? And that way, what what's, so they know what they expect of you, and you know what they expect of them. You know what I'm saying? What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, I've been on both sides of the coin. I've been a part of an official school-based media team, and I've also been on the independent way for a little bit. Like, it's always good to be cool with, the main team's media people and make sure hey, like Eddie said, make sure hey, if I'm right here, am I in your way? Those kind of relationships go a long way. And also, even if they approve your pass, hit them up, send them an email and be like, hey, I'm coming. This is how many people's coming with me. I'm trying to make sure I'm not in the way. Like, where in the stadium can I be? Where in the arena can I be? And you can like, I know one time, some things I used to do was I would send like the specs of the arena that I'm shooting in, and I'll be like, at what point on this thing is too far for me to go? Like,
Yeah.
just so that I'm not, in the wrong at any point. Like, and then I have proof that you showed me these points right here is where I can be at. So there's going to be no issues when you show up and you're at those points that they told you to be at.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. So the more communication that's there, the better it is for everybody. And,
Yes, sir.
I just think that's something that we all can improve on. So I think we wrapped it up. We got one more topic. Let's go ahead and close it out strong, Matt.
All right. Basically, after all that you've learned over the years when you're, building your brand and building your look and aesthetic on your videos or photos or whatever you're doing, sometimes with all that, you tend to overthink sometimes. And sometimes, even with all the skill sets in the world, you tend to overthink. Sometimes I overthink, but it's better to stop overthinking things and just start shooting. Like, the more you just go out with the knowledge and just shoot freely, it's the better that your footage is going to be in the end. Because sometimes people overthink things, and then that's when they tend to mess up. Like, I know there's a few times where I would like overthink a shot, overthink an angle. Then I get back and I sitting here at my computer editing, and I'm just like, dang, I overthought that. This is not even as good as I thought it was going to be because I was thinking too hard. Sometimes you don't have to think too hard. Just think freely, shoot freely, and 9 times out of 10, you're going to get the best shots possible.
And I'll piggyback on that point. I'd kind of spin it this way. I mean, as you are watching us discuss, tech talk, and we'll be doing this on a weekly basis. We'll be feeding you knowledge and tutorials and how to do this, how to do that. There comes the way that we would like to structure this is that you watch the video a couple of times and then you go out there and do it. You have to take action in order to get better. You can't watch us do things as far as showing you how to do these things and think you're going to just, how you say it, telepathy? It just kind of just falls on you, man. You're going to have to go out there and do the work. So don't think so much about learning it, studiously by watching us. You need to get out there, shoot. The more you shoot, the more you hit that record button, the more you're going to understand what you can improve on, man. Stop thinking, start shooting, like Matt said.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. So this is really going to catch on right here, Matt. I know it is.
I think so too.
I think that there's a lot of people that we can help. I know as much as I get hit up by high school band directors and some of the college directors who don't have, media teams in place, like asking what can they do? What do they need to do? How do we do this? We want to help those individuals, anybody who wants to even get in some music videos and cinematography, we're going to hit, this channel will be so to a point of being so robust that it will be able to be applicable in different markets, man. So I look forward to it. Hey, Matt, we'll go ahead and close this out, man. I can't wait to get into next week now. I have some topic ideas in my head now, man.
Yeah, I'm excited to get into like these weekly tech talks with everybody. I know a lot of people have been asking me for a long time as well, like when are you going to start giving tips, when are you going to start giving advice to everybody else? And I just never had the right platform to be able to do it on a mass level. And I think this is like the best thing for everybody who is like really, really interested in learning more in depth about just being a media professional in general. And even if it's not just band or music related, like, all these skill sets that we're going to be sharing is going to be applicable to all types of media, whether it's shooting weddings, shooting music videos, like you said. It's all just camera work is camera work at the end of the day. Like, good shooting is good shooting. Settings are the same. Composition facts are the same. Everything's the same. So, like, this can not only help you with your band media, but if you want to do this as a side gig, this can also just bring more money in your pocket. So I'm excited for what this is going to bring to the culture. And I'm super excited, man. I can't wait until next week.
Can't wait, man. So this has been episode 1, introduction into tech talk, man. This would be myself, Eddie Evans, and Matt Reeves, man. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. Go ahead and like this video. I need you to share this with anyone that you think this will be helpful for, man. Share it out. Share it. Share the knowledge, okay? Look forward to more episodes to be coming in the future. Like I said, this will be a weekly occurrence. So Thanks again, Matt. Man, this is my partner in crime on this show, man. We do, make sure you follow us both on Instagram. I am at Meet Me on the 50. What about you, Matt?
And my Instagram is @_Matt Dave, my middle name.
There we go. Easy enough, man. Stay tuned. More to come.